Welcome back. The panel is with us. Former Homeland Security Secretary Jeh Johnson, Wall Street Journal columnist Peggy Noonan, Rich Lowry, editor of National Review, and Jennifer Palmieri, communications director of Hillary Clinton's 2016 presidential campaign. Welcome to all of you. Peggy Noonan, I didn't know if we needed more for this campaign to deal with after that debate. Every time you think, can you stack one more event on this election year, and yet here we are. The president is in the hospital with the virus. Where are we?
We are in uncharted waters. We've been there more often, I think, in the past few years than we had been before that. Look, the president is hospitalized. We cannot be certain what his exact condition is because we cannot be fully confident of the information given us by various White House sources. And also there's an impression that not everybody in the White House themselves has any sense of what's going on. It seems to me one of the most interesting things the doctor who just appeared in interview with you said, Chuck, is that it takes about 5 to 10 days for this illness to fully present itself, for the dimensions of the severity to become clear. So it seems to me this is a delicate time. The White House should be trying to make sure, just forget perceptions in a realistic way, that it's not all ad hoc and shambolic in that hospital, that in fact the appropriate strategic and military and national security and diplomatic lines are up. On top of that, let me just say quickly, I really think this is a very important time for the American government to assert its own presence, to be in Washington, to show we have a fully functioning, fully ordered government. I do not think Mike Pence should be out there on the campaign trail. He's the vice president of the United States in a crisis. He should be in Washington. I think the cabinet members and head of agencies should. So I just think the grown-ups here have to step forward and assert themselves in some new way.
Jeh Johnson, how much of a national security risk situation are we in right now?
Well, Chuck, I'm going to give you an answer a little bit different than what you probably asked. The number one national security threat right now, obviously, is COVID. And the president, the most protected man in America, who reportedly is a germaphobe, if he can get it, no one is safe. We're seeing a resurgence in the country right now. In various parts of the country. And so what happened to President Trump should be a vivid example of the danger we face right now. We've been letting down our guard. We've been getting sloppy. And Americans need to know that this little 10-cent device here actually does save lives. And this is now not a time to be sloppy. Now, I am also concerned in this environment with the president having COVID, of, frankly, misinformation hysteria. I believe that, too, is a national security threat. We know that there are foreign actors out there trying to meddle in our democracy right now who may be, as we speak, peddling misinformation to try to exploit the anxiety that Americans are feeling in this situation. So those are the two national security concerns that I really have in the moment. We can talk about whether the vice president should be quarantining or not. I believe he should, but those are the current threats as I see them.
Rich Lowry, you heard Jason Miller there. He is full speed ahead. They want to say this campaign is full speed ahead, and they want to present hey, nothing to see here. Yeah, the president's in the hospital, but hey, everything's fine. Are they handling this right?
Well, I just think it's a lot to ask to just give up weeks of a campaign when there are only 4 weeks or so left. And, it's really hard, Chuck. There's so many unknowns to tell how this is going to bounce politically. At the very least, they're losing days at a time when they don't have days to lose. And it puts greater emphasis on COVID, which has been one of the biggest vulnerabilities for the president during this entire campaign. All that said, at this point in 2016, Access Hollywood hadn't even happened yet. So there's still time for other October surprises.
Jennifer Palmieri, I was interested to see the Biden campaign, they decided they're pulling negative ads. And right now, you could say, okay, that's appropriate. It's not like the other side's doing the same thing. It does seem as if the Biden folks have a challenge here on how to navigate these next few days?
Well, you have to be thoughtful about it, and I think that they've shown they've done that. I think the American people want to see, oh, okay, he took his negative ads down. He understands that this is not a normal time in politics. He says he's praying for the president. He's expressing a lot of empathy for the president and his family, but at the same time, you're holding the administration accountable. I know that the Biden campaign thinks that the voters that are open to them view almost everything through the lens of COVID. It is affecting their lives in dramatic and profound ways. It's affecting the economy in dramatic and profound ways. And they're not going to stop arguing that the president's administration has mishandled this. And then the other big argument they have against the Trump administration is chaos. Chaos and recklessness. And you saw chaos on display in the debate. I know that's what the Biden campaign thought was to their benefit. I'm sure it wasn't really fun for Joe Biden to go through, but that for the voters to see that kind of chaos on the stage hurt Trump. Your numbers reflect that. And then recklessness. And, the week ends with, after having the president getting this diagnosis, a lot of senior White House officials getting this diagnosis, following the unsafe event in the Rose Garden last weekend. So, it is still early. It is only October 4th. Right. But this is not a great start for October.
Rich Lowry, do the Republicans in the Senate side, there's talk that they still want to get through with the Amy Coney Barrett situation. Are they at a point where it'll look like they're trying too hard to get her confirmed? COVID cases be darned?
They're trying very hard to get her confirmed, Chuck. I'd just be shocked if they put this off. I think it would have to get much more dire than it is now. And the fact is, all year long, the Judiciary Committee has held these hybrid-type hearings where you have some people in person and others remote. So I'd imagine you'd see some version of that. But there is an extreme commitment to get this done.
All right, I'm going to pause the conversation there. Hello from Washington, I'm Chuck Todd, and thanks for checking out the Meet the Press channel on YouTube. Click on the button down here to subscribe and click over here to watch the latest interviews, highlights, and other digital exclusives.